there was no protocol. So eventually, I started building one. And the crazy thing is, I didn't even know that's what I was doing. I wasn't sitting there at 24 years old thinking, I'm going to create the fallopian tube formula. There was no fallopian tube formula. I wasn't trying to start a business. I wasn't trying to create a product. I was just trying to answer one question. What am I supposed to do if both of my fallopian tubes are blocked and IVF isn't an option for me? And nobody had given me an answer to that. So I started looking for one. But somewhere along the way, I realized something that completely changed the way I was researching. Maybe I was asking the wrong question. Because I kept asking, how do I unblock my fallopian tubes? But one day my brain did what my brain apparently always does. It went, wait a minute, why are they blocked? And that was a completely different question. Because if something is blocked, what's blocking it? What happened in the body that allowed that to happen? And if I could understand that, maybe I could start looking for things that address the underlying problem instead of just staring at the diagnosis. So I stopped searching for one magical thing that unblocks fallopian tubes, and I started following clues. One clue would lead me somewhere. That would make me ask another question. That question would send me down another rabbit hole. And listen, there were a lot of rabbit holes. Some went absolutely nowhere. Some made me think, okay, that's interesting. And every once in a while, I find something that made me sit up and go, wait, because maybe somebody wasn't talking about fallopian tubes at all, but they were talking about something happening in the body that could potentially matter to what I was trying to understand. And that's when the pieces slowly started coming together. Not overnight, over years. And that's important because what eventually became FTF wasn't something I found on Google one afternoon. It wasn't one supplement. It wasn't one herb. It wasn't one study. And it definitely wasn't some little recipe somebody handed me. It evolved piece by piece by piece. And years later, after more research, more learning, my formal education in naturopathic medicine, and eventually working with other women, I could finally look backward and see what I'd actually been building. A system. But here's the part that still gets me. It all started because 24-year-old me refused to accept your tubes are blocked. That's the end of the conversation. Because apparently, even then, I couldn't leave well enough alone. I needed to know why. And it turns out that question was about to take me somewhere I never could have imagined.